some of that. Don heard it too. Where did this one come from? Oh, that's.
So we're gonna kiss it away and we're gonna get a $200,000. Yep. Agreed. For less money. Agreed. If we can come to that agreement.
Good. Here we go. Welcome to the July 18th regular city council meeting. Tonight we have Mr. Hessling giving the invocation. You don't have to run, it's okay.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for your mercy, your love, your grace. God, we thank you for wisdom, perseverance you've given to council and the leadership of the city. And God, we just ask you to continue to pour that out upon them. Help them to be wise, compassionate, and understanding with citizens. And Father, we ask that ultimately your will be done. God, we love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Cinda, will you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Lampy.
Present.
Councilmember Osborne.
Present.
Councilmember Gordon.
Present.
Councilmember Brockert.
Present.
Councilmember Gendrich. Councilmember Lewis.
Present.
Councilmember Connor.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And tonight we have a proclamation of Muscatine Driver Appreciation Day on July 19th, 2024. Whereas Muscatine provides valued public transportation through fixed route and paratransit services to the city of Muscatine that is safe, dependable, and easy to use. And whereas this transit agency began serving our community on March 2nd, 1981, and has provided over 5.5 million rides. And whereas every day the Muscatine team works diligently to keep passengers moving throughout our community with safe and friendly drivers. And whereas it takes a great team to get our services on the road, from cleaning and maintaining our buses to planning and scheduling our services, to connecting passengers to their final destinations, to communicating and engaging with them, to providing assistance in person or even over the phone. And whereas in celebration and recognition of our Muscatine team, riders are encouraged to share their support by thanking drivers in person, posting praises on social media, or by calling the Muscatine office. Now therefore I, Brad Bark, Mayor of the City of Muscatine, do hereby proclaim Friday, July 19th as Muscatine Driver Appreciation Day in the City of Muscatine. And I call upon all citizens to show their appreciation and gratitude to Muscatine drivers and transit staff for keeping our valuable system moving. And with that, we have a certificate. We have a certificate of recognition. And tonight, or I should say this, the 2024 Muscatine Driver of the Year is Magley. She met the criteria for Driver of the Year, including working at least 780 hours, having no fault accidents or moving violations in the past year. That's really good. And has worked at least 95% of all scheduled shifts and had no documented incidences or complaints. Driver of the Year candidates must also excel in providing great customer service, operate the bus in a manner that puts safety first, and to work well with coworkers. Ms. Hernandez meets and exceeds all the criteria. Thank you for providing a great service to the city of Muscatine and great customer service and safe transportation for our community. Without Muscabus drivers, those in our community with limited access to personal transportation would not have the freedom to reach everyday destinations such as employment, community resources, medical care, and recreational opportunities. And tonight, we would like to recognize Ms. Hernandez. Have you come up here? Would you like to give a little speech?
Congratulations, well done. Congratulations, nice work.
Thanks for the great service.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you for your service.
Congratulations.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes.
Yep. And now I'm gonna have everybody come up and we'll have this proclamation.
How many drivers do they have? You're such a rocket scientist.
All right, now 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, one more. There you go.
Okay.
All right. And next, we have a recognition for Miss Avery Bradley. Avery Bradley was crowned Miss Iowa's Teen on June 15th at the Paul J. Halsworth Performing Arts Center in Davenport. She earned over $3,000 in scholarships, as well as the Presidential Scholarship from the University of Alabama. In addition to capturing the title, she also was a preliminary talent winner. Avery is one of the youngest to capture the teen state title and will go to compete for Miss Americans Teen in January. That's pretty cool. And Avery's community service initiative is a Fraction Ahead, which is advocating for women in STEM careers. She serves on the Government Reynolds Youth STEM Advisory Council. Avery is also one of 2 young ladies who have held titles of Little Miss Iowa, Junior Miss Iowa, and Miss Iowa's Teen. Outside of the pageant world, Avery is an active muskie, running track and cross country, and as an incoming freshman, and also as a competitive dancer at River City All-Stars Dance Studio. So everyone, please welcome, soon to be hopefully Miss Teen America. Have you approach the podium? If you want to do that, and then we'll get a picture afterwards, okay?
Sounds good, thank
Absolutely.
you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today, and a special thanks to Mayor Brad Bark for inviting me to come and speak to you. My name is Avery Bradley. I am 14 years old and will be a freshman at Muscatine High School this fall. I was recently crowned the Miss Iowa's Teen 2024 through the Miss Iowa Scholarship Program. The Miss Iowa program is our state competition where the winners get the opportunity to compete for either Miss America's Teen or Miss America. The Miss America opportunity is the largest scholarship provider to young women across the United States, which for me was the biggest draw to get involved. Prior to being able to compete for Miss Iowa's Teen, I won a local title as Miss Clinton County's Teen. With this local title, I was then able to compete at the state competition. Leading up to the state competition, one of the most important things is developing a community service initiative. That is something that you think as an individual is important and want to raise awareness on. My community service initiative is called A Fraction Ahead, Advocating for Females in STEM. In elementary school, I started to excel at math, and it soon became one of my favorite subjects. I was even able to take some advanced math classes, but soon realized I was one of very few girls in these classes. So with my service initiative, I worked to be a role model for young girls. Through the Muscatine area, I've worked with kids at YMCAs, after-school programs, and I've even spoken to them at their morning assemblies. I've been able to bring STEM kits in to do with the kids and have donated over 100 STEM kits to students in the Muscatine School District to take home. One of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had was when a little girl came up to me and she told me that she didn't know girls like us could build robots, and that meant a lot to me because I felt like I was able to break a mold for her and hopefully help her recognize that she can build robots. During the week of the Miss Iowa, there are multiple phases of competition with a panel of 5 judges. The first phase of competition consists of a 10-minute private interview where the judges can ask us about current events, our community service initiatives, or even hot topics relevant to teens. Other phases of competition include the health and fitness portion, talent. My talent is a contemporary performance to the song Voice of God by Dante Bowe, evening gown, and onstage question. Each contestant's education, future ambitions, and community service initiative is also taken into consideration when judging. This was my first year competing for the Miss Iowa's teen title, and I didn't know what to expect. I was one of the youngest in my age division, ranging from 14 to 18 years old, and there were some amazing girls from all across our state that had come to compete. I knew that even if I didn't win, I was going to come back at a chance to earn more of those scholarships. When my name was called as the Miss Iowa's Teen 2024, I was very excited. Getting to represent Iowa at the Miss America's Teen competition is a huge honor. As a part of my prize package, I received close to $4,000 in scholarship money, and I received a full tuition scholarship for 4 years at the University of Alabama. Since being crowned, life has felt crazy. There have been many meetings helping me prepare for nationals. I've been able to go into the Muscatine Spark program this summer, and I want to extend my STEM reach across our state of Iowa. I have plans to reach YMCAs across the state with STEM kit opportunities, and I'm currently in collaboration with several Girl Scout groups across our state. Just today, I assisted with the Collins Aerospace STEM Day in Cedar Rapids. I will be involved with the Iowa State STEM Day, and I also will continue my role as a member of the Iowa Governor's Youth STEM Advisory Council. As far as the Miss America competition, we don't know specifics yet, but it will likely be in Orlando, Florida in January. This is supposed to be announced around the end of the month, and I'm super excited to represent Iowa and, of course, our amazing town of Muscatine at the national competition. With that being said, if there are any activities or volunteer opportunities that you would like me to come to, I am very happy to come if my schedule allows. Thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations, well done.
Thanks for representing us.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Everybody scatter. Iowa, there's 49 others, 51 others. I can do math. All right.
All right, next is the approval to adopt the agenda. Does council or administration have any items they would like to change or pull from the agenda tonight?
I would like to pull item 17M.
Let me get to it. Okay. Any other items, council? All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So move, Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gordon
Second, Lewis.
and a second by Councilmember Lewis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries as amended with all ayes. Next, we have communications. Is anyone present that would like to address an issue that is not on tonight's agenda? And before Mr. Beckman speaks, I would like to say I was sent information, and I failed to send it to council, but I'm going to make sure I send it after this. I apologize, Mr. Beckman.
Yeah, Chuck was good enough to take pictures.
And
My name is Patrick
We're
Poggle.
going to do name, no, it's okay, name, address, and you're going to get 3 minutes each.
Yes, Patrick Poggle. I reside at 2130 4th Avenue. On the easement of my property, there's a large maple tree that's been guessed at 120 years old. It's in sad state of repair right now. It does have some leaves on it, but it's we judged it pretty much a hazard, needs to come down. I tried to maintain it over the course of time that I've been at this address since 2004 to keep it in good repair as I'm required to do, but it's lived its life, and we've lost a fourth of the tree fallen into the street. It's been cabled before, we treated it. I've got a log chain trying to hold the other 3 remaining sections together, but it's just in sad state of repair, and we're asking if the city take it down, as it's just not a good tree to be there anymore.
Chuck Beckman, 2135 Fifth Avenue. The problem I have is the condition of the tree. We finally got a sidewalk in 3 or 4 years ago. That tree is big enough that if it would fall, and we have families with little kids walking down that sidewalk, if it would happen to fall, it would fall over that sidewalk. We'll also have a lot of people that up and down the road at any time. Here just lately, in the last 3 storms we've had, 2 of them we've had branches fall down into the street during the storm. And I think, the city picked it up the first time and then you cleaned it up?
Yeah,
He was
when
out of
first fall
town.
fell, yeah.
He was out of town the second time it fell, so when he got home, he cleaned it up. I'm hoping that when you see the pictures, they'll be self-explanatory on how bad this tree actually is. So,
Rotted and hollow.
yeah, it'll show. And if you have any questions, Mayor Barks got my phone number, and you can contact me at any time.
And I failed to send out everything. I do apologize. Councilmember Osborne.
Is this the easement between the sidewalk and the curb?
We have no sidewalk there.
But it's just past the property line.
I
The entire
have.
tree is on the right of way there.
That post is his property line. This is on the north side of that.
So easement
If you'd like to pass those around, that'll be just
Sure.
fine. So maybe start at Councilmember Lampion, just pass them around. And if you want to explain up there so everybody can hear you at home.
That one that he's got right there is my arm up inside as far as I could reach. There is also, on the west side, 8 foot up from the crotch of that tree, is a hole about this big around.
What road are we looking at right here?
That is Blaine Street.
Plain Street. Okay.
Thank you.
But anyway, from the crotch of the tree up 8 foot where another hole is in the tree, it's all hollow.
So over the course of time when I've been there, I've had it treated by Vaughn Powell from Tree Savers, and injecting stuff, trying to keep it healthy. I've had it trimmed. We had it cabled at one time. That didn't do enough to keep this one section from falling into the street, the 1/4 of the tree. And since then, I've added the log tree, trying to do everything to keep, put money into it to keep it going, but it's just past its prime.
We also had another tree service come out, about a month ago?
Yeah.
And he said it needs to go because it's that bad.
Okay. Councilmember Osborne?
Does anyone here on staff or anyone know what code says about maintenance of trees and easements?
Well,
Andrew, can you,
all I can say is,
either one?
we had Park come out 2 years ago, and they told us the city policy was it had to be dead before they could do anything, so I don't know if it's changed or not.
And I understand the homeowner is responsible to maintain the tree, which I've tried to do over the years, but it's at a point where it doesn't.
Real quick, Director Climbs, is that accurate? Yeah, thank you. I just want to get clarification before.
This tree at this address, we've not looked at for 2 years, is my understanding. If the tree is dead, diseased, or dying, and it is in the right-of-way, then the city would have a responsibility to take it, yes. From the information tonight, we'll certainly add it to our list to look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for? I think your pictures are over there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Anyone else tonight that would like to speak on an item that's not on tonight's agenda? Is there any other follow-up, council, from the conversation just had? No?
Nope.
Okay.
I think Rich said they're gonna take a look at it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the follow-up.
Yep. All right. The following items are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, which includes items 10A through C, items 11A through N, items 12A through C, items 13A through C, and item 14 with bills totaling $3,745,181.04.
So move, Lampy.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lampy
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Gordon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries with all ayes. All right. And now we are going to move to public hearing. Public hearing A is regarding an amendment to Title 10, Chapter 3, Section 1 of City Code establishing a law enforcement training facility and range as a permissive use in the specific locations within the agricultural zoning district. Now is the time for the public to comment. Name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Tyler Montez, 506 Spruce Street. Yes, that facility, I read the agenda, and it's supposed to be used 1 to 5 times a month, potentially. And also, I looked at the agenda even more, and it stated that it would take agricultural land out of use, and in Iowa, a reference stated that for 5 years, we lost 500,000 acres, and I don't think we should be losing any more farmland to government or private use as much as possible. And also, I don't think it's right for us taxpayers in the city of Muscatine to pay for a facility that's going to hardly be used sometimes. And we do not have a public shooting range here in Muscatine, and I think it would be a great asset to the community for gun safety, as well as teaching people that guns are not bad, and they're only safe if used responsibly. And I think it would be a great use of taxpayers' money to let it be used during the weekends, or have a public website where you can visually see when it's not being in use. And I would prefer for it to be on public land, publicly accessible land, instead of airport land. And it would also take a runway out of potential use in the later date.
Thank you. Is there anyone else tonight that would like to speak on this matter? Hearing none, I will take a motion to close public hearing.
So move, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Osborne, and a second by Councilmember Lewis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries with all ayes. Next item is 17A. First reading of an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 3, Section 1 of City Code, establishing a law enforcement training facility and range as a permissive use in specific locations within the agricultural zoning district. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of this ordinance as submitted?
So moved, Osborne.
We have a motion by Councilmember
Second,
Osborne
Lampy.
and a second by Councilmember Lampy. Is there any discussion with council?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Could Chief Keys come forward and answer this young gentleman's questions and concerns? Especially as it relates to public use.
Good evening. A little bit of a conflicting message, I guess. One aspect of it, it was not to take away good farm ground, but the CSR value on this is very low, so that's what makes this a good application for use. The second question was public use. State code exempts law enforcement agencies from using this, and the liability to carry with the city for making this a public range is something that I don't think at this time we want to even entertain. Did that answer most of them? The usage of the range, there's nowhere I said 1 to 5 times a week, so I don't know where that came from. That'll just depend on the training needs and the officers and the MSORT in the county.
Councilmember Osborne?
And if I remember right, when we talked this earlier, it also was the time away from the job, the travel away from home, and all those things that would need to happen to keep our officers trained. Even though it's used, maybe it's not as much as people would like to see for the cost it appears to cost. It's a valuable training tool, and it's the best use of our officers.
And there's also a training facility down there, right? So this will be used for many other trainings rather than just the range. The range, just one application, correct?
Council, any other questions? Great, thank you, Chief. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Connard?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
And Lampy.
Aye.
First reading of ordinance is approved with all ayes. Next item is 17B is a resolution setting a public hearing for August 1st of 2024 regarding adopting a revised code of ordinance with amendments to certain ordinances to correct typographical, and I am wearing my glasses too, formatting, omission, and technical errors, and adopting the city's online code, MuniCode, as the city's official copy of Muscatine City Code. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis,
Second?
and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Is there any discussion with public or council? Hearing none. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Connard?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
And Lampy.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next item is C is a resolution accepting the transfer of county-held tax sale certificate and authorization to pursue process to obtain tax sale deed. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis.
Second, Lampy.
Second by Councilmember Lampy. Is there any discussion with council? Hearing none. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Connard?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
Lampy.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next item is D is a resolution approving the preliminary final plat of Carver Corner subdivision. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So
So-
moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brockert and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Is there any discussion with council? Hearing none. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Connard?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
And Lampy.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next is E is a resolution authorizing special assessments for unpaid abatement service fees and rental housing fees to private properties. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Brockert. Is there any discussion with the council? Hearing none. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Connard?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
And Lampy.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next is F is a resolution setting a public hearing on proposed zoning changes for the southeast corner of Hershey Avenue and Green Street. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brockert and a second by Councilmember Lewis. Is there any discussion with the public or council?
I'm just glad to see this moving forward and start the process rolling. So appreciate all the work, Andrew and team, and
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. Hearing none. Councilmember Lampy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Osborne.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye, sorry. I was like in the middle of a sneeze, sorry.
Time for you to go to timeout.
We're going to have to record that one on TV. Okay, so you're aye.
Aye, sorry.
Councilmember Conard.
Aye.
And Councilmember Brockert.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. That was good. Next is G, is a resolution setting a public hearing for August 1st of 2024 on a voluntary annexation and a severance request for Nyman Acres subdivision. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Conard. Is there any discussion with council? Hearing none. Councilmember Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Conard.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Osborne.
Aye.
And Lampy.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next is H, is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Compass Minerals in the amount of $106,344 for road salt. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis
Second, Lampy.
and a second by Councilmember Lampy. Is there any discussion with council?
I would like to ask a question.
You bet.
Brian, how much salt did we have left after the one storm we had last winter?
We have quite a bit. This will top us off for the rest of the year, so we're saving quite a bit of money this year by just
Okay.
purchasing
How does
this
the
amount.
cost compare with last year?
I forgot to look. I think it's about the same. Actually, it might have been a little bit lower,
Okay,
but it's about what we usually pay. No
Okay.
surprises. So
all right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for Director Steinman? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. Next item is I, is request to approve the issuance of a purchase order for $42,900 to Bolin Recreation for Brook Street Park and Lucas Street Park Playground Platform replacement. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Is there any discussion with council? Councilmember Gordon.
Just a quick question, Mr. Climes. Sorry. Will this be done by fall? Or is it more like next spring?
Thank you for the question. It's always difficult for supply and demand, especially with these platforms. There was one, this is a 4-year phased-in approach. The last time we did this, we waited several months for the product to arrive, so I can't guarantee you by fall, but we will certainly get it as soon as they get here.
And then it'll be dependent on the weather, too. so.
It sure will.
But it's great to have Brook Street and Lucas Street
Yeah.
done. That's going to be
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, council? Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. Next is J's request to enter into a supplemental agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation for maintenance of primary roads and municipalities. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brockert
Second.
and a second by Councilmember Osborne. Is there any discussion with council? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. Next item is K, is request to authorize 2024-25 city deer hunt. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis,
Second.
second by Councilmember Gordon. Is there any discussion with council?
I do have a question.
Yes.
The rules have not changed from last year to this year?
Thank you for the question again. This is Park and Rec night tonight. No changes have occurred in the DNR. If those changes occur in the hunting regulations, that's what would change ours. Our city code stays exactly the same as what it was previously, yes.
Okay, so they're not allowed in the cemeteries, public parks, or anything like that?
They are allowed at McKee Park. This
McKee.
council did decide a couple years back to allow a parcel or two there in
Okay.
that park, and we do. They're there, yep.
Councilmember Osborne?
Have any of the hunting areas changed? I know we had a couple of those lots up that were in last year that were up for auction, but I don't know if we had any buyers or not.
There are two areas that you approved to be publicly hunted. That was the area on the west side of Hauser Hill. That area was sold, so that is taken off the public hunting list.
Okay.
The other area is McKee Park. That is still on the public hunting list.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of. I thought it had sold.
Nope, it has not been sold. That was donated by a family, and if it would ever be not owned by the city, it would revert back to the family by the covenants of the gift to the city.
Okay, so all the same properties last year except
Yes.
for the one?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Great, thank you again. Welcome. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. Next item is L's request to approve a contract with Muscatine Center for Social Action to provide technical services related to the housing facade component of the Mulberry Neighborhood Revitalization Project. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Osborne?
We have a motion by Councilmember Osborne. And it looks like this fails to move forward. City Administrator Webb, that's right, it just fails to move forward then?
There's no second?
No second?
Then it's dead.
Okay. All right, next is N. Is a request to approve entering into an agreement with the Iowa DOT accepting state transit assistance for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $312,646. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved.
We have a
Lampy.
motion by Councilmember Lampy
Second, Gordon.
and a second by Councilmember Gordon. Is there any discussion with council? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. Next item is O, is a request to approve change order number 1 for Greenwood Cemetery Chapel Restoration Project for the amount of $16,875 to Silverhorn Concrete and Masonry LLC. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So move, Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gordon
Second, Lewis.
and a second by Councilmember Lewis. Any discussion with council? Councilmember Lewis.
I can tell you, you can come up if you want to, but I'm not going to ask any questions. It's more of a comment. I've been driving by that frequently, going to my daughter's house and down to Taylor Park, and you can definitely tell there's been changes. It looks really good. So I'm anxious to see when it's all done, to go over and take a peek. So great job.
Any other comments, council? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Request is approved with all ayes. All right, last item is a request to authorize a supplemental purchase order to Valley Commercial Construction in the amount of $177,697 for additional work needed to complete the demolition of a structural unsound hazardous building located at 417 Mulberry Avenue. Is there a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So move, Lewis.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lewis
Second,
and
Connor.
a second by Councilmember Conard. Is there any discussion with council and community development staff? Did you want to?
Yeah, I have a question for him.
Yes, Councilmember Conard.
How did we miss this by 3 times and not know a wall was shared, I guess? I mean, how did we end up in this situation? Because I'm assuming it was inspected during the bid process and all that.
Mayor, council, it was, the shared wall wasn't really revealed till it took the first swipe with the excavating bucket, and then it became apparent that when they built the front half of the Flickinger's building in the mid-1880s, they just attached it onto the wall of what's the taco shop at 417. So in order to demolish the taco shop, you need to build a structural wall to support the Flickinger building, otherwise you would collapse it when you.
Is there, I mean, I understand we have Valley as the original contractor, but did we open that up to bid for others to build the wall and then allow them to finish the demolition? Or do we have to take their bid and the only bid?
We do not have to, but we're trying to act with expediency on this for a couple of reasons. One is that the 417's is in the active process of collapsing it. City staff's been in the building in late April when we first discovered this issue, mid-May, and then immediately before demolition began in June, and there's significant deterioration as it began to collapse. Valley being the contractor already on site, they had the ability to get it done sooner. The other reason expediency is important is we don't want to disrupt Flickinger's operations more than we have to. Right now, they're kind of on a pause for the summer. They have about 50 or 60 kids in there every day for their after-school tutoring programs. Doing it this way would allow us to get that work done before the start of the school year.
Are you able to comment like on what the next steps are, like starting Monday or coming up?
Yep, you know, if you approve this, they can start immediately. Basically, we start in the basement of the Flickinger building, pour a footing, build a wall all the way up, attach the floor joist, the ceiling joist, and then when that's done, then they can finish dropping safely the building at 417 Mulberry.
Councilmember Gordon, then
Yeah.
Councilmember Osborne.
As you can guess, not wild about spending 3 times as much as was originally estimated. And this sort of came up very suddenly. I'd like to know what our options are to temporarily table this so we can get some more information. I know that I don't want it to interfere with Flickinger. They're a very important service down there, but they're already being, you know, it's sort of scary. I drive by it every day, and I see large shards of glass hanging there. I don't know what our options are, City Administrator, if you can give us some guidance, if there's some options to table this potentially. I know we'd like to get them started Monday, but
Yeah, I mean,
week or so.
you can certainly table the item. The drawbacks of that is, one, it leaves the property in the state it's in right now, which is, it is, blocked off there. But the other one is that if it would collapse, that could cause a problem in the interim. And so we want to, like Andrew was saying, we want to act with some expediency here. Unfortunately, that's none of the choices are ideal. So that's why we don't have another quote.
In terms of a physical solution, I guess the only other really option would be to demolish both buildings, which would be significantly more expensive than this. So there's not a lot of good options in that.
Councilmember Osborne, then Councilmember Brockert.
So how do you arrive at demolishing both buildings would be more expensive than $250,000?
At $250,000, well, you would have to find a new place for Flickinger to relocate. The cost of similar space where they need it, plus the cost of then demolishing both buildings would, in my opinion, definitely exceed that.
Because we are talking about $250,000, right? 65 for the original demo plus 177
Like
is
$230.
$242,000. I find it hard to believe it would take, and we leave a lot that's somewhat undevelopable with one, but if we take 2 down, now we've got 2 lots that are probably very developable.
I do know Flickinger has indicated an interest in purchasing that lot at some point, which would likely come back to us through a similar process, through us probably, ultimately I'm guessing we're going to wind up acquiring it through the tax sale process, like the parcel on Orange Street that you did tonight.
I've got some heartburn about requiring one owner to build a wall on another owner's property. I think there's issues that aren't being thought of there.
I mean,
Mayor, Council, so I get that your hesitation for charging the property owners of the derelict building for the wall.
That's the proposal.
It is the standard practice. Well, standard as far as we assess the abatement process activity. We don't have to do that if that's a concern. We don't have to assess it to the paralysis, the owners of the Christina's Tacos building. We can leave that alone. It was not charged to anybody. Again, it's the city's expense. The likelihood that we would get it back through the assessment process is pretty slim to begin with. So that would be the option if that is one of the major concerns.
Yeah, I guess my final comment is I'm supportive of Peggy's motion, I guess it's called, to maybe table this and at least look at what it would cost to demo both buildings and see if that would be like.
Just to be honest, if you look at relocating them, you're essentially displacing them, so you will have to buy their building, then demo their building, and then provide them another building, because as a government entity, you are essentially practicing eminent domain.
I think we need to get some more thought to the owners first, or some conversation between the two owners first. I mean, at one end of the table, at this point in time, you're proposing one owner build a wall on another person's property and pay for that. I think that's pretty tricky. The other, I mean, right now, you know, I mean, they probably bought the building as it is, but it shouldn't have been built that way in the first place. So, I mean,
It was built at a time there were no building codes in 1880, so it's hard to go back
yeah,
and say.
but
I mean, it was
think
pretty
there's a
standard
case
practice.
that, you know, who really owns this wall? Like I said, that's where I'm at with it. I think we can afford one more week of discussion on this, maybe get the, you know, some owners involved in this conversation. And
The other hiccup in that, just to be clear, is that we continue to reach out to the Paralysis as the owners of Christina's Tacos. They do not respond to us at this point. They did early on. There's often not even a possibility of leaving a message because the voicemail box is full. They are not in the state right now. So facilitating conversation is not likely to.
so we got at least one owner willing to talk, so I think we should talk some of these options with them.
And we do have an agreement. We got it today. So their minutes came in that they approved working with the city to build the wall, and that they agree. And so we have an MOU that the attorney's office did create that says they're giving us permission to build the wall to stabilize their building.
Have they agreed to pay for the wall?
They have not agreed to pay for the wall.
That's my point. I don't think we have really an agreement yet until we know how we're going to pay for it. $250,000.
I don't disagree with the fact that it's a big price tag and it's undesirable. What I do want to point out is the shards of glass don't go anywhere until we get the building down. The risk of anything happening, we retain that liability until it happens. And whenever we're talking about, so we table it for 2 weeks and we're waiting for the contractors to get ready to go. If we go out to bid, there's a whole process to that. So it is a very timely, and it's a time-sensitive matter.
We're going to go Councilmember Brocker and then Councilmember Lampy. Then Councilmember Connor.
I do have a question. If we've got the shared wall on one side of this building, what's the likelihood we have a shared wall on its other side?
On the north side?
Yes.
North side was actually a fire station originally, so I think there's a better chance that it's not, but no guarantee.
I would say that they brought a structural engineer to prepare the plan that's in front of you, and now that more of the building is exposed, that there's a lot greater confidence that that's not a party wall, because, well, we can see in there a lot better than we could before they started the demolition. Obviously, nothing's 100% guarantee, but I think we can feel a little more comfortable with having that much of the building exposed, that structural engineers are seeing what's there.
Councilmember Lampy, Lampert too, and then Councilmember Connor, and then Councilmember Lewis.
So I want to follow up on Matt Connor's question about, so when we said that there was an engineering study made to determine that the walls were not shared, who exactly made that study? I mean, is there a person's name that is in that study or a company's name that's in that study? And when was that conducted?
It was not an in-depth study. It wasn't like they came in and didn't, they came and looked and gave us an opinion.
We started a tear down of a building that we really did not have a true engineering study on?
Yes, I would say yes. Because the building was falling in already.
Understood, but we still did not do a full
I agree.
in-depth study, engineer-wise, to discover whether that wall was a shared wall or not. Then we started demolition. Now we're in this spot. Now we're saying, well, we're not even sure on the north wall, we think, but we don't know yet, and we're going to start in again.
Councilmember Conard.
Nancy, where do these additional funds come from? Sorry. And what does this off place?
Actually, I was just texting the city administrator to see if she wanted me to talk about our preliminary plan. We did, in the bond issue in June, issue $200,000 more in funds to demolish substandard buildings throughout the community. And we had some leftover funds from the previous bond issue. So this amount would deplete those funds. It wouldn't mean that we couldn't still do other demos, and the demos that we normally have been doing recently are in the 15 to 20,000 range, and we could accumulate them for the next bond issue. But alternately, we're going to be talking to our bond attorney on the upcoming TIF projects in the next week or two. We're trading vacation weeks. But if we wanted to include an allocation in the urban renewal plan amendment, that if these kind of things come up, that we could be able to do an internal loan and fund them from TIF for these larger things. And as far as including in the urban renewal plan, I wouldn't necessarily think we would use that for the regular demos, but this is eliminating blight. And that's the reason for the urban renewal provision.
Councilmember Lewis and Councilmember Osborne.
I know this has all given us all a little bit of heartburn, so I know it's like there's a lot of decisions that we could have made. My big concern at this point is safety for the community. Mm-hmm. We've got to get that building down, because otherwise it's just a huge lawsuit sitting there for if somebody goes in there and gets hurt, or if that building falls. So that's my 2 cents.
Councilmember Osborne.
And also that would put 10 of those structures that we've deemed to be unsafe and needs to be torn down, where we would put those off to another date.
We could do a resolution that we would fund them from a future bond issue, and we can go ahead and do those if that's the way the council wants to go. Intended to mention this earlier, but this in a way is like 500 Mulberry. In that case, it was falling down. We did find community development department did find somebody that would agree to rehab that building, but there was snow fence around that area for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it was a $135,000 economic development grant to the person that took over that property so they can make the repairs. And visually, that has improved that area tremendously. So the precedent of using TIF has already been made actually in the same general neighborhood. It's not ideal, but I think this one can be determined to be blight. But you can't, after the fact, mm-hmm. get it in the urban renewal plan and fund it. But we can look what we can do going forward if this kind of thing comes up again.
And as far as that glass goes, it's behind a fence, right?
No, it's barely a fence. It's not really a fence. The current state, it's.
I mean, I drive by it every day too. It looks like a fence to me.
Well.
I mean, it's clearly an area that nobody should be in behind there.
Well, yeah, common sense tells you that, and it's cordoned off and stuff.
Some of these houses that we're going to potentially not tear down right away don't have fences around them.
I have a question on that.
Councilmember
So
Gordon.
Nancy, just clarification. So this would be treated as from a different funding source, from TIF potentially, or?
This one,
or
it's
internal?
too late to
Okay.
get into the TIF.
But we can get our other demolitions that we strive to do $100,000 a year with. Still, we can still keep that moving forward.
Can, I always call it the IRS resolution. The intent to reimburse the city from the next bond issue. And that, I think this is a high enough priority that it, this was totally unexpected.
Councilmember Conard.
Just one last question, Andrew. When examining the issue, I'm assuming you went through several scenarios, hopefully, leaving the existing wall, it has to be removed. What all was looked at with engineers after it was discovered?
They were instructed, April had a little more communication with them, but the cheapest option that would allow us to safely demolish 417 and leave 413 standing. So, April, bring April up here. She had more of the direct conversation, so.
So ideally, it's not an ideal situation at all, and I get that, and I totally understand that. But on the safe side and them going in, when you physically go into either building, either the Christina's Tacos building at 417 or the Flickinger building at 413, when you look in the basement, it appears that there were two separate walls. When you look at both standings and both sides, but when you physically start removing things, that's when we opened up the can of worms, and we found that there was, when the Flickinger building was built, that's when it was added on. So technically there was only the 3 walls. So on the other side, being that it was an old fire station, you can visually see that there are 2 separate brick walls. So at the end of the day, talking with the contractor and all that, ideally it would be to, again, like Andrew said, put those footings in and build the wall properly, because the way it sits right now, the wall in general is not built properly at all. There are rafters that are not sitting on the bricks in general. So either way, that wall is compromised, whether we touched it or not. So you would have to build that wall in order to move forward. I was in there in I was in there in April. I was in there in May. I was in there on the day that it was actually started to demolish. That day, myself and the Valley Construction safety guy, we went into Flickinger to make sure nobody was there. We went in and knocked on all the apartment doors to make sure nobody was there. We went into Christina's Tacos at the very end. Christina's Tacos, if anybody had ever been in there, there were 2 separate areas. They had a wall with 2 separate doors. The wall, or the first floor, was actually caved in more when I was in there from May to June. We tried to go upstairs. The gentleman went up 3 steps and his foot went through the floor. So we stopped.
Yep.
At that point in time.
Just to clarify my question, it was just that the option that we were given, you've examined everything, and this is the best, cheapest option in order to move forward?
I truly believe that, yes. Because the quote that we originally had from a completely different company just to demolish the building itself was close to the number that we are talking right now.
Right.
And that doesn't include having to build that party wall or anything like that. So I do believe, honestly, this is our best option. And I have been in constant communication with Flickinger, if not on a daily basis and every other day basis. They did have a board meeting on Monday. They did look at the proposal from Valley, and they approved for the city to continue the work that needed to be done. So that way they wouldn't put them off anymore or what have you.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Lewis?
Mayor, I'd like to take a motion and just say that we table this till the 1st of August. It sounds like there's a lot of things that we need to discuss and things that need to have some more resolution. I just feel like it's like this conversation, there needs to be a little bit more investigation from our side and your side, and I just feel like we could talk about this all night long, and it's like it's not going anywhere.
So we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Can we discuss it, though?
No.
Nope.
No.
No. Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye and raise your hand, please.
No.
Okay. All opposed, nay. Motion is approved to table this to the first part of August. Thank you, staff.
can we provide, what are we going to do with this time?
I'm guessing to gather more information and
Specifically, I'd
City
like
Administrator
to,
Webb, what would you recommend?
specifically, I'd like to hear if Flickinger might be willing to relocate and also get,
Okay, we gotta,
We probably can't talk about this right now.
Well,
correct?
I do think we need some direction.
Okay.
What I'm
information?
looking for is what should we do between now and August 1st? So that I know what to bring
Say that
back.
now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So I'd like to hear from Flickinger, see if they might be interested in relocating, and then also getting at least, maybe not a full-blown spec bid and all that stuff, but a better estimate on what it's going to take these two buildings down. And also consider that we're going to have two saleable commercial lots ready for tax use versus a hole in what's there now that's not really usable. We'll end up giving it away to Flickinger probably, and that's not a tax benefit either. So I'd like to look at this
I second his
holistically.
amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to look at this holistically. We've got $250,000 on the table. There's
don't
got to
think
be
we'd
something
have
more productive we can do with it.
That right.
Did Councilmember Osborne make a motion?
No, this is just the feedback that you were seeking.
You had asked for
Yeah, I was just confused.
specifically, what can
No,
we
we're
get
not
done?
doing this. She
Okay.
was just agreeing with that.
I think we have direction for August 1st. So we'll work on those things between now and when we bring it back, and we'll include that detail in the agenda item summary. Does that work?
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay,
Right.
great.
Councilmember Brocker, is there anything you'd like to share tonight?
Well, I would like to thank the folks who are working on 2408 Grandview Avenue. It looks a whole heck of a lot better than it did at the beginning of the week. The trees are gone. You can actually see the traffic signs. Wonderful. The second thing is, I may have missed something, but is CP, whatever they call themselves this week, going to close the crossing on Dick Drake?
Yes, July 22nd for, I believe, a 3-day period.
3 days? And they're still working in Fruitland.
Should be completed.
What a mess. Well, and the county was doing work on Stewart Road this morning, too. And we aren't going to be able to get from point A to point B without going to point Z.
Sampson Crossing will also be closed at that time,
Oh, wonderful.
I believe.
Any other comments, Councilmember Brocker?
No, I don't think you'd want to hear them.
We do. Thank you. Councilmember Conrad?
Other than that, Your Honor, thank you.
Councilmember Lewis?
Just a reminder, on Friday from 1 to 3, they're gonna have the fire hydrant and popsicles with the police department over at Harrison Loss. So have fun. Hopefully it's warm.
Councilmember Gordon?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilmember Osborne?
I do appreciate the efforts that have been put in this. You're right, it is a bad situation. There's no real great answer probably going to come out of this, but I do appreciate you guys' work on this. And I want to encourage maybe just to look at it a little bit more. That's all I have.
Councilmember Lampy?
Add 2 items. A few weeks ago, the council discussed a driveway on Parham Street. Obviously, as I drove by recently, there is dirt being moved on that driveway. Yes, please.
The council did not approve the driveway approach. The person can do what they wish on their private property. So it is my understanding that that person would like to build the driveway to the sidewalk, and after that, I don't know what he's going to do. I'm assuming he's going to drive over the curb and use it anyway. But we don't really have any authority to not, or to allow or not allow that. That's where our code stops, so.
Is that a permit item?
We don't issue a permit on private property, so yeah, it would, so we would not issue a permit to tie into the street because council did not approve that. He has circumvented that.
Well, we do need permits for some work that's on private properties. I'm just asking if this is one that qualifies.
My department does not do those permits for that, so I guess I can't answer that question.
And Andy's shaking his head back there.
Nope. You can pave your whole lawn and that's okay, right, without a permit? That's
The
what
code
we're saying.
doesn't, yeah, I mean, our code isn't staff specific, right? That's just kind of like loophole.
That's why I asked. I mean,
Yeah,
I know we
loophole
need-
in the code.
I know if we need like electrical and plumbing and various items, there are certain types of work that trigger permits, but
Good question.
gotcha.
Okay. The only thing I mean, technically, if he drives over that right of way, I think that's illegal. That would be a police enforcement issue if that's something that we wanted to pursue, but at this point, we really don't have anything else we can do, so.
All right. Anything else, Councilmember Lampy?
Nope, I'm good.
Cinda? City Administrator Webb? And I just want to say thank you to all the staff that helped with the flood situation. There was 3 people, was it Monday, when all that rained? So our flood wall worked really well, keeping the water from coming from the Mississippi up, but it really worked well when the rain was coming down Sycamore Street. It was about, I don't know, 2.5 feet deep when it was like inches on the other side. So well done with the wall. And Zach, George, Jorge, and Chip did a wonderful job coming up, helping the businesses as well. So great job to everybody involved. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
So moved. Brett, don't go anywhere.